Hello and welcome to the Clear Voice Podcast, brought to you by the Clear Career Professionals. I'm your host, James Groom. With me this week is one of Clear's Vice Presidents, James Hopper. James, thanks for being on and welcome back.
Good morning. Thank you, and I'm very glad to be here.
James, we've got an exciting topic this week. We're talking about AI and relating it back to the workforce. Since you've kind of gone from typewriters to pocket computers during your time, how do you feel about this next tech innovation?
Oh gosh, what a great question. I can remember the first time I saw a computer brought into my high school. It was carried in like the Ark of the Covenant, and it was the only computer we had in my high school. Brought it in, set it up in the what we called the typing class. The door was closed, and I was kept on the outside with my face against it, looking in at this computer, and I was told, don't come near it. So fast forward into the day that I was actually a working teacher in the classroom, but really never had a computer class. And I sat down with a coworker and asked him, I said, I want you to show me how to use this computer. He showed me and I said, wait a minute. So if I point that arrow to something on the screen and I click it, stuff happens. And he looked at me and he said, stuff happens. I've taken it from to the point now where I understand where we are with technology. I love it. And at the same time, with the advent of all this technology, I understand there can be a downside. It's the world we live in today. Embrace it or you'll be left behind.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I also am a fan of technology. You almost have to be, but I'm only a fan when it's working, and sometimes that seems to be the biggest problem. Neither James Hopper nor I are experts on AI, so we had to bring somebody on that specializes in this, and our guest today is Dr. Victoria Fudge. Dr. Fudge is an experienced instructional technology coordinator with over a decade in K-12 education. She specializes in designing and implementing technology-integrated instructional strategies, supporting educators through professional development, and managing digital learning environments. Victoria holds both a master's and a doctorate in instructional systems design and technology from Sam Houston State University. Her expertise includes AI in education, educational training, multimedia creation, and distance learning. She is passionate about helping educators use technology purposely to enhance teaching and learning. Welcome to the show, Dr. Fudge.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you. For the lay people out there, can you talk about what AI actually is and maybe dispel some rumors about what maybe people have heard and it's not really that?
Sure. What a lot of people don't know is that AI actually has been around for a long time. Artificial intelligence has been around and discussions about it have been happening since the 70s. So this has been coming for a long time. And there are different types of AI. So you have reactive AI, which is the most basic type. Think about playing chess with a computer. Okay, so that's just reactive AI. Then you have deliberative AI, which can plan and make decisions based on environmental information. Cognitive AI is a step above that, and that's where generative AI like ChatGPT and Microsoft Copilot, all these other AI systems come into play. But cognitive AI mimics human thought processes. It can reason, learn, and adapt to new situations. But the most advanced AI is autonomous AI, where it can interact with the environment, make decisions, and learn independently. Think about self-driving cars and factory robots. Okay, so those are more autonomous AIs. But going back to cognitive AI, that is what a lot of people have been talking about lately, are all these large language models like ChatGPT. When it came out, everybody was like thrown for a loop. Like, what is this? This is amazing. You already had Siri in your back pocket. You had Alexa. That was a type of AI. But the ability for these new generative AIs to come out and do so much more was really mind-boggling because it kind of threw everything on its head. And so we have to learn to adapt and learn how to work with these systems now.
Wow, that's a whole lot to process, and I appreciate that.
It is.
So we are a Clear Career Professionals as a company that serves municipalities and all of their needs. So I want to address what you said about autonomous AI. I've already been to convenience stores and I've seen the robot mopping the floor, and a lot of people have those in their houses. And I was a generation that was raised on the Jetsons. So we saw what at least the animated industry thought the future would look like. But at this point, we also see drones being used to fight fires. My question is, when are we on the cusp of seeing robot police and robot firefighters?
That's kind of a scary topic to go into because it takes you kind of into the realm of science fiction and all those movies that we grew up with, you know, RoboCop, Terminator, all those other things that were out there. And a lot of people are very scared about this. But what I want to remind people is that the human element is very important. You cannot lose those human qualities that we have for empathy. I personally would prefer having a human police officer assisting me because they would have empathy for whatever situation I am in. I don't think machines are there yet, and I don't see us moving there quite yet. Do I see the possibility for drones and other autonomous AIs to support us in our job roles? Yes. But that human element cannot be forgotten. So I don't think that we're quite there yet. In the future, probably 10, 20, 30 years from now, who knows where we're going to be. But I probably see it more going towards augmenting our abilities as a human with technology rather than replacing us.
Exactly. And one of my big questions here is, these new technological advances seem to be bringing with it an economic impact. Each time we have a technological advance, it does that. And this creates a disruption by eliminating jobs. It's one of the biggest fears people have with AI. These jobs, of course, are vital to individuals, to companies, and even whole industries. And all of those things affect our local economies. Just how big of a disruption can we expect from AI, and into which of those industries do we expect to be disrupted?
Well, the World Economic Forum just came out with their Future of the Jobs report. And according to them, advancements in AI and all this information processing is expected to create 11 million jobs while displacing 9 million. So that means that we have a growth of 2 million jobs coming, but they're different types of jobs that are going to be coming out because of what AI is. But the jobs that may be displaced are clerical and secretarial jobs. So you're thinking about jobs like cashiers, administrative assistants, data entry clerks. These are the jobs that may be replaced by AI because now you have AI agents that can make decisions, write your emails for you, respond to different things like that. So these low entry positions are probably going to be replaced by AI, or at least by somebody who knows how to utilize AI to help with their productivity. And so that's kind of where we're looking at now. By 2030, probably a total of 170 million new jobs will be created while 92 million will be displaced. So it's a big number. It is coming pretty quickly, but we just have to be able to adapt and figure out what skills we need to continue in our job roles.
So essentially what you're saying is, yes, there will be jobs eliminated, but the jobs that are created should actually substantially outnumber those that are eliminated.
Yes, that is what the World Economic Forum is saying, is that even though we are losing jobs, more jobs will be created, not just to take the place of the jobs that we're losing, but to kind of reevaluate and revamp some of those positions that we currently have and add on new ones. Think about job roles that have to deal with creating the AI systems on the back end, the AI computer engineers, the people that work in cybersecurity, technology. Those job roles are going to be growing pretty fast. Anything that deals with the cybersecurity of the city and the technology behind the running of it, those job roles are probably going to be growing pretty fast, but they also need to know how to work within the AI systems as well.
Well, it's very interesting. You've given us the bad news, but also it sounds like it's a net positive for us on job creation. You mentioned that we need to talk about the new skills that you'd have to have. And obviously, if you're talking cybersecurity, there's some, certifications that you're basically moving into a tech world. For those jobs, you would need the tech skills. What about other skills that somebody might need as everything's getting retooled? What new skills would people need for these new roles, and maybe just skills in general that will be more important as AI replaces some of that day-to-day routine stuff?
What's really interesting is that a lot of research is coming out saying that the jobs created and the jobs that people are hiring for now, they're really looking for more human-centered skills. They're really looking for people's ability to communicate and collaborate, for the problem solving and critical thinking pieces. So a lot of the skills, especially in the AI realm, are going to revolve around how to use the AI critically and evaluate what you're getting from it. Because honestly, one of the things that a lot of people struggle with is when they're using AI, they just take what they get and move on. One of the skills that a lot of people struggle to develop is the ability to critically evaluate what you're given by the AI, to then check your sources and make sure what you're getting is correct, reuse it, and put that human element back into it. So the ability to kind of partner with the AI system is a skill that a lot of people will probably need to have. Another ability that some people struggle with is the prompting of the AI. That's a lot where the critical thinking piece comes in and the problem solving. You have to figure out what do you need from the AI system first, and then write a clear and precise prompt to get what you want there. So it's almost like back-end planning, where you plan from the beginning when you write your prompt to figure out what you need at the end. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I think talking about what we call soft skills being important, along with critical thinking, you're saying that AI may sometimes fib to you or may provide a result that may not be correct. I think that's probably a fair assessment of models sometimes at this point.
Yeah. In fact, OpenAI just a few days ago came out with an article and a response to why our AI systems hallucinate. And hallucination is when AIs give you incorrect information. When I was researching for my dissertation, sometimes I would go in and try to find articles or references that would kind of back up some of my ideas or even challenge my thoughts. There are times when AI will give you references that lead nowhere. There's no paper written about that. And so what OpenAI is saying is that when they're training these models, they're training the models so that if they don't know what something is, it's bad for the model. So the model wants to be correct in everything it does. And it doesn't want to say, I don't know. As a human, I have the ability to understand it's important to say when I don't know something. It's important to admit that, hey, I don't know what on earth you're talking about. Let me go find that information for you. But as an AI system, they don't have the ability sometimes to say, I can't answer that or I don't know that. And so they kind of fib. They give you the information that they think you want, even if it's incorrect. And so that goes back into the training of the AI system and the algorithms that are built within the back end. So that's why skills are very important now that people need to learn when they're creating these systems, how to get it away from that hallucination.
AI hallucination. What a term and what a concept. Certainly sounds like it has a role in politics. So that being said, it's an amazing thing to be able to and critically evaluate, as you said, to evaluate the information that AI is giving you. We're training the next generation to come up and be successful, of course, in the job market. What are we doing in our schools to prepare students to deal with the AI that you just described, that I can go in and give it a prompt. It's going to give me an answer. If it doesn't know the answer, it's not going to admit it. It's going to give me something stated as fact. So how do we teach students to navigate this field?
Well, we also have to go back and think that a lot of our students have grown up in the age of Google and YouTube and social media and everything. So there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation already out there for them. So digital literacy skills are already being taught in the classrooms where they know that there's misinformation and disinformation. We just have to align that with the thought of when they're using AI, they need to critically evaluate what they're being given. It's called AI literacy now. So you have your digital learners, but they need to know how to be AI literate. So going back to those skills that we discussed that our future employees need to have with AI, our students need those skills as well. And they need to be taught them in a safe environment where it's okay to make mistakes. So in a classroom, it's okay to interact with AI and it's okay to learn new things and test it out in a safe environment. That way they learn these skills such as prompt engineering, critical evaluation, how to use AI to create videos, presentations, different things like that. There are many different skills that they need to learn in the classroom. And that happens through conversations with teachers. That happens through testing out these systems in the classroom and giving them the ability to kind of experiment with their learning with the system. And so we put guardrails in place so that we teach them the ethics of AI and the importance of using it correctly, when to use it, when not to use it. But then alongside those guardrails, we're having those conversations and those lessons about what is the appropriate use of AI.
It sounds like you're talking about in school that ideally that students would be learning how to blend their human capabilities with the AI systems. Are you actually seeing that go on in all the schools? And I guess that would apply to workplaces. Are places embracing this or are they shunning away from it?
It's different for different schools and districts. At the beginning, when AI came out, many schools immediately went to let's block everything because when something new comes out, we get a little bit scared. Okay. Think about when calculators first came out. Think about when computers started going into the classroom. It was an upheaval. And education is one of the systems that always takes a little bit longer to embrace the new. So when workforce saw the AI coming out, there were many companies that embraced it and started utilizing it quickly. Education took a little bit longer. But again, in education, we have students that we are responsible for. We want to ensure that they learn and become productive members of society. So we need to be very intentional and purposeful about how we're implementing this. Taking your time, making sure that you build out what you envision AI to look like in the classroom, and putting policies into place to protect our students is very important. Even with the workplace as well, you're going to want to have policies in place and systems in place to protect your data and things like that, because you never know with some of these systems where your data is going or how it's being used. So you want to be very purposeful in that.
Going back to what you were mentioning about the use in municipalities as well. So if I'm hiring for our position in the city government, are there ways to screen for AI literacy that you're aware of? And if so, how would I implement those? How am I going to evaluate the people I'm trying to hire so that I feel like they have an understanding of AI? Or how do I also train my current staff to be more AI literate?
That's a very good question. And that's something that a lot of people are trying to figure out right now. And so some of the answers go into upskilling. Some of them go into LinkedIn is one of the biggest places to go to upskill and learn new things. And they have AI literacy trainings in LinkedIn as well. And so one of the biggest growths in upskilling is seen in LinkedIn through AI literacy. The way to kind of test to see if people are AI literate and know what they're doing is basically to give them a project to do and ask them to talk you through how do they use AI to support them in completing the project or the assignment. Have a conversation with them about what prompts did you use? What was the end product and how did AI help guide you there? How long did it take you to get there? Because the increase in productivity is one of the major selling points in the use of AI. Not to mention, did you use AI to help research anything on the back end? Because we know that they're subject matter experts and not one person knows everything. So how did you get to where you were going with the use of AI? And having that conversation with them and them detailing their path there will help you understand how they look at AI. And if they tell you, well, I put in the prompt, I got the answer, and I sent you the answer, that's not really AI literacy.
Dr. Fudge, what I heard was that people can go to LinkedIn, they can follow clear career professionals, and then they can upskill with the AI tools that are available there.
Yes, exactly.
I almost envision that some of these people will show up with the skills. The workforce that they're going into is not necessarily made that transition yet. They don't have the skills to implement that stuff. So is education looking at how to not just provide the skills, but how to teach the students how to help a company transition into those things?
We're working on it because we do see that a lot of the larger companies are moving towards this. And we do see hiring trends where they're hiring people to train their employees on the use of AI. So there are jobs out there to actually train their employees on the use of AI. And so our students are being taught in school and they'll be ready to join those companies that are already looking on ways to train their employees. So they'll get a little bit of a leg up in the job market. We also train our students in knowing when not to use it. Use AI, but you have to know when not to use it. And we have students that are in dual credit classes and they take college classes along with our high school classes. And a lot of our dual credit teachers tell our students they're not allowed to use AI, even though our students have access to it. And this program that has the guardrails and the policies and procedures in place, they know they're not to use AI in this specific class, in this specific realm. And so having those conversations with them, and they understand and they don't. And if they do, there are things in place with the dual credit teachers to hold them accountable. Those conversations, again, are extremely important. So it goes back to the employer being very specific in what they're expecting from the employee and the employee following along with that. It goes back to communication, which is that human skill that you really need to have, and the collaboration piece. Think about one of our students graduating and going to work for a company that hasn't really implemented AI yet. They could start having conversations about how they could increase the productivity and then can almost become a leader within that company by showing others what they have learned to support them. I see us as building the new generation of students and employees that can help kind of uplift everybody they're going to be working with.
I think that we're in such the beginning stage. I don't even know that we're in what you would call the adolescent time of AI just yet. We're still in the childhood phase. But that being the case, we have workers, as you mentioned, who are AI literate, stepping into industry that is not AI literate, using the tool and making their supervisors very uncomfortable. So one of the skills I can see, or maybe you can help us to understand how, if I'm that individual, I'm going to help my company or my industry to better understand this and get rid of the AI phobia so that we can use this as a productive tool.
Well, one of the things that I did when I started training educators on the use of AI is there was a lot of fear to begin with. So kind of like the supervisor you mentioned, there was a little bit of a phobia about the use of AI. And again, it goes back to the fear that it's going to replace us, you know? So I think of it as the fact that as a supervisor, I cannot give you more time. I cannot add more days on the calendar. I cannot add more hours on that clock that you're going to be here. I don't have the power to do that. But what I can do is help you use what time you have productively and save more time. I always go back to the adage of work smarter, not harder. Think about how much you can get done in a day if you're partnering with that AI system, with the human and the AI collaboration. It goes back again to talking to that supervisor and saying, hey, if we partner with the system and we utilize this to be more productive, we can either A, save more money in the long run, or B, make more money in the long run because the productivity is going to increase and we can do a lot more with the time that we have. That's one of the ways that I was able to kind of get a lot more people on board is the fact that it is a time saver. It is the ability to increase and augment the human piece through the use of the AI partnership.
Working smarter, not harder.
Yes.
Well, we're always trying to find ways to do more with less. As in government, we're always finding ourselves in that spot. So sounds like it might disrupt some of that. Do you have any estimates on like if we fully implement AI as it currently sits and we're utilizing it to its best resource, how much time and manpower that we can save on tackling some of these problems?
I don't have any estimates, but from what I've seen with implementing it in education is it is saving my teachers and my students a lot of time. My teachers, when they're planning data mining, trying to look at resources and references and things like that, and trying to figure out how to individualize learning for students, because that is something that we are really focused in on education is personalizing learning for students. And sometimes that's very hard to do. But with the invention of ChatGPT and AI and everything, we can truly use AI to personalize learning for our students to get them to grow and get where they need to be. But as far as the productivity piece, I have seen that they have a lot more time to actually spend time with students, a lot more time to actually focus in on the conversations and the one-on-one piece that we really need in the classroom. In the workforce, I think it goes back to the more time to build relationships, more time to spend on the people side of things rather than sitting at the computer working on the administrative side of things. So I see it as saving a lot more time so that you can spend more time on what really matters. And that's the people around you and the people you're serving.
You know, leadership is a big part of what we do here at Clear Career Professionals. And it sounds to me like a leader in this is talking about transformation of their organization into more AI related type of uses. We know as leaders that there are those who will embrace change very quickly. There are those who are going to be a little pensive about it and kind of wait and see. And there are those who immediately kick into digging their heels in and heck no, we won't go. So the astute leader then has to be able to manage all three of those kinds of people. And I think you've laid out some good means for doing that in talking about how we can further advance the organization. Is there anything else that you would add to that as far as being able to bring people along like you have done with teachers?
Well, I will say this. At the district I work with, we're 3 years into this process. When AI came out, we recognized that we can't sit back and wait. we have to be very proactive and intentional. So we began with creating what we called an AI committee, and we invited teachers and staff members to be a part of it and figure out what do we envision AI to look like in our district. And one of the things I purposefully did when I made this committee was I invited the naysayers. I invited the people who had their heels dug in and did not want to implement it. They had those fears, those issues. And through the committee and the research we did and the policies and procedures we had into place, they had a voice, and they were able, by the time the committee ended, to actually be one of the leaders in how we implemented AI in our district. And so giving them the voice and the opportunity to actually be a part of it really kind of turned the ship around a little bit, kind of like helped kind of nudge them in the direction of this is here, we have to accept it, but we can have our own piece of figuring out how it actually works and looks in the classroom. And so that really helped us out a lot. And then it was a lot of trial and error. We wanted to figure out how we actually wanted to implement it in the classroom. And then we decided to just do a full high school site with the implementation. And so now we're moving into our third year of implementation because we started with being very intentional about how we're doing it, getting everybody and the teachers on board, and then moving into the classroom. So we took a very methodical approach to this, but then getting those naysayers on board was a very big piece of that as well, because then they could turn around and tell everybody, hey, I started out not liking this too, but over time, here's what I learned. So that was very helpful.
What a great approach. And having those naysayers, and every organization has them, doesn't mean that those people are negative. It just simply means they're not going to instantly drink the Kool-Aid. It's great to be able to screen what you're doing through those naysayers, and it helps to actually strengthen, I would think, the credibility of the entire project.
It really did.
Dr. Fudge, I know when we talked previously, you had talked about different AI models and their current capabilities and what some strengths of some models versus the other. You kind of tell everybody listening kind of I know this will be outdated in 6 months probably, but what the current capabilities are of the various models that are out there for public consumption.
Sure. So there are quite a few generative AI models out there, and you have the OG ChatGPT, the one that came out and surprised everybody. They have a model and they come out with updates all the time. So they just updated it to GPT-5 and they kind of sidelined their previous version. And so there was a little bit of backlash in that because the previous version was a little bit more like a yes man. Every idea was a great idea. And it was more like a counselor. So you could have a conversation with it. And it was such a great program for a lot of people. GPT-5 came out and it went away with a few of those pieces. So there was some things right there. In my realm in education, and I think about in the realm of businesses and cities and municipalities, it is very important to have your data protected because a lot of these programs use what you do with the AI to then retrain the AI. So whatever you do with it is not truly private because it can be reused in something that it does. You want to really have a subscription with whatever AI program you're using. Because we work in education, we have subscriptions with Google and we have subscriptions with Microsoft. I really push my educators to use Google Gemini and Microsoft Copilot because we do have our enterprise subscriptions, which means our data is protected through FERPA and all those other policies. And anybody that has confidentiality included in their job role, it's very important to make sure that you are utilizing the systems that protect your data. Having those subscriptions I would really highly suggest that you look into something like that would protect your data so it's not going to be reused. That's what I really focus in on. And every AI is a little bit different. Gemini, I think it has a little bit more of a conversational feel. And I really enjoy using that in my role to kind of do an idea generation. So if I'm like, I want to do something, but I can't quite get all my thoughts in a roll and kind of figure out what I want to do, I have a conversation with Gemini and it becomes my idea support, my assistant. Copilot, I actually used quite a bit with my dissertation to give it examples of what I wrote and say, am I missing anything here? Am I missing the thread of an idea? And it really supported me in going through my dissertation and figuring out what linking pieces I may be missing. That's kind of how I view AI is you should be really system agnostic. because different AIs do different things. Knowing how to utilize them and what fits your needs best is very important.
So there's a lot to learn. You said we could go to LinkedIn and we could go to different places like that to be able to learn more about this.
Google also has a lot of AI literacy trainings as well. And I think ChatGPT has added some trainings as well, too. So it's almost like every model has put out things that you can go to and learn from. LinkedIn is probably more geared towards different types of systems and not just one. But if you want to learn more about any of them, they probably have their own AI literacy trainings that you can go through.
Well, that's great. James Hopper, before we wrap up, do you have any final thoughts or any other questions for Dr. Fudge?
Well, I've got questions all day on this topic. Encapsulating all of this, it's great to get a good background on bring us up to speed on where we are with AI and looking at the job market for both incoming people in the job market, being our students, and those who are currently in the workforce. What would you give as you think the best advice in order to be able to advance in today's industry, given what AI is providing?
I want to share a little bit of background about me. I grew up on a farm in East Texas, and we did not have any technology around us. We were lucky if we held our tongue just right, turned the antenna outside, and got a cowboy game. It was very rural. I only learned about technology in school. I go back to when we had the floppy disk and we played Oregon Trail and Frogger in computer class and did typing. When I left my community and went to college, I had to be very adaptable, very flexible in what I was learning because I had to learn all the new technology that I wasn't exposed to before. If you think about all the stuff that's come out now with AI and everything else, that flexibility and adaptability is very important. You have to be willing to learn something new, to be willing to say, I don't know what this is, but I want to learn more about it and I want to be better at it. The ability to be a self-learner and a self-starter in knowing, hey, I don't have these skills, but I can learn how to navigate this and I can gain these skills to be better at what I need to do. In my role as instructional technology, I learn something new every day. It's my job to see what's coming and to figure out how it relates to education and then to prepare my students and my educators for what's coming. As a future employee, as someone who's in the job market looking for a role, do your research. Look and see what is out there. Look and see what skills employers are looking for. Read that World Economic Forum Future of Jobs report. That'll give you such a great idea about what employers are looking for and those skills that you're going to need. I would really suggest just adapt. What's the old saying? Adapt or die? It's not that, but it's adapt or be left behind now.
Before we wrap up, Dr. Fudge, do you have any other advice or tips you'd like to share? Anything that we missed? Perhaps you have some comforting words for anyone out there who's worried now about what the future holds?
Oh my goodness. Change is inevitable and we're all scared to change. Honestly, we really are. And as human, as a person, it's okay to be leery of the changes. It's okay to be scared of them, but you can't let it stagnate you. You can't let it keep you where you are. You have to understand that you have to start adapting and moving with the change. AI is here. It's not going away. We just have to learn how to let it kind of walk alongside us now and be kind of our assistant and our support in what we do.
Well, I certainly feel more comfort knowing that there's not going to be any robot police anytime soon, despite how cool that would probably be. I think the adaptation and learning those skills is very important. That message is going to help some people, especially knowing that there's some probably free resources out there that they can get some more information. Dr. Fudge and James Hopper, thank you guys for being here and taking the time to educate us on this issue. And for everyone that is listening, thank you for taking your time. And please check out our website, clearcareerpro.com. Follow us on LinkedIn, and we will catch you next time.